What's going on, everybody? It's Sasha, your licensed real estate market expert here in Charlotte. No, I am not in a treetop or a tree house, but that greenery behind me is it's pretty hectic, and summer is definitely here. 88 degrees today. And when you go to the beach or something like that, you leave your car parked and then you get back in the car and your back hits the seat and you just feel that sizzle. I had that happen to me today. So for all the people that are coming down to North Carolina now or in the next month or two, get ready. I have a feeling it's going to be a very hot summer. I'm excited. We got 2 likes. We got 4 people on here. So I am ready for any and all questions. I didn't do the live last month. I got caught up in a bunch of stuff, and it's been a hectic day so far, but I wanted to make sure to get on here. Somebody reached out to me last month when I was supposed to do the live on Thursday and said, "Hey, Sasha, why no live?" I got busy, but again, all my contact information is right here and linked down below. So if you ever have any questions, doesn't matter if you're thinking about moving here in a year, 2 years, if you're comparing Charlotte to some other cities or anything like that, call, text, or email me. I'm a human being. Call me. You got questions, I got answers. If I don't have the answers, I'll do what I can to get them for you. So we got a question right here from Todd. Todd, good to see you. I'm glad you're on here. Sasha, I hope you got some good news for us buyers, but I doubt it. Yeah, you're right. I honestly don't. The Federal Reserve came out and everybody thought that interest rates would come down starting June, but inflation is just way too high. And the fact that the government and things like that, they think they could tell us that inflation's low is ridiculous, because you go to any store, you go to any restaurant, anywhere you go, you'll know that the prices are a lot higher today than they were before. So nothing is changing on that, on that front. Rates are going to stay high. And to be honest with you, they need to. Things need to stay high in order for things to level out, because again, our demand here in the Charlotte area, Charlotte and the surrounding areas, is just outweighing the supply that we have. And this has been an ongoing issue that we've had for 5 or 6 years now, and we're just not getting any relief. Well, we're really not. Multiple offers are still happening. I know maybe 2 months ago, I was very excited about a house that I was gonna look at, and I didn't even look at what it closed at until this week. I went back. This was a house that needed work. I went back. That house ended up selling for $105,000 over the asking price. I don't know what warrants that, because the house needs a good amount of work to bring it up there. So there's still people out here doing crazy offers on some of these houses. And it's interesting, some houses that are unique, some houses that are in certain areas, they're always going to sell. They're always going to have multiple offers if they're priced correctly. But some of these other houses that are, for example, in newer construction communities, that you can find a couple of them come on the market a month in that community and or the surrounding communities. Even some of those are getting snagged up right away as soon as they hit the market. I have a listing. I just listed it last week. Today's day 7, and we're executing an offer on it now. And, I was anticipating a couple of weeks based off this specific area and based off the square footage we had. But, we got it sold in a week, with very good terms. And I don't want to talk about the price, but we got the price we were hoping for. But it's just interesting, anytime you think something comes up, something happens, it really doesn't have an effect on our market right now that we see. Now, the market report's going to be coming out next week, so I'm excited to see what the numbers are going to be like, but I just see the numbers going up. Based off my experience, what I'm seeing in the areas that I'm working in, things just aren't slowing down. So I'm not anticipating any drops, especially the fact that right now we're in May. The numbers we go over are going to be from March. Things were picking up, and they're going to continue to pick up. Kids are going to start getting out of school here in the next month or two. Things are going to ramp up. There's going to be more demand. There is going to be more supply as well, but I still think that demand is going to outweigh it. But I don't even want to say it. I want to say we hit our ceiling for prices, but nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing surprises me. If we see a jump in price of 2 to 3%, or if we surpass our all-time highs that we had in 22, I wouldn't be surprised about it. Nothing's really shocking me at this time. So it's interesting to see. It's interesting to play out. There are some real estate changes coming in the way that real estate is conducted. They're probably going to pass right here in July, which is going to be a very interesting situation. So that whole thing is going to shake out, and we'll see what's going to happen. You know, I've been focusing a lot more personally on off-market listings, off-market deals. I've gotten 2 done already. The goal for this year is 5, which might sound like it's not a lot, but to me it is. So right now I'm hitting the phones, I'm door knocking houses. If my buyer has a certain neighborhood that they're dying to get in, that they have to get in, I'm sending mailers, I'm calling those neighbors and trying to get them that house off the market to sell it to them directly. You know, the seller is going to save a decent amount on commission, and my buyer is going to be happy because they're not going to have to deal with a potential multiple offer situation or all this stuff going on. But I don't want to ramble. I do want to ramble because that's what I'm here to do, but I want to answer your questions. So any questions you have, guys, let me know. I'll do whatever I can to answer it as best as possible for you. So Todd, the gist of it, no good news for buyers right now. No good news. I don't see a lot of relief. There's interesting things going on when you look at the market in the entire US. There's some markets going through a lot of changes. And actually, one thing I want to talk to you guys about is insurance. Florida is being hit so hard, especially their condos, because the insurance prices are going through the roof. In the last couple of months, I've been seeing this start to happen here in Charlotte, here in North Carolina. Not necessarily, hey, flood insurance or any of this crazy stuff that they have in Florida. But right now, I just recently closed a house for my seller, and the buyer was having trouble getting insurance on the house because the roof was 13 or 14 years old. And I was talking to their lender. What do you expect? Do you expect somebody to change a roof that's supposed to be good for 25 to 30 years every 10 years? What sense does that make? You're not going to insure a roof that's 13, 14, 15 years old. It has absolutely no logic. So those insurances are going up, and people, what they're doing now is they're essentially kind of covering you to get the insurance. They're doing the best that they can to get you insurance, even though the roof might be 15 years old. And then these companies are coming back out to the house after closing, whether it be a month, 2 months, or 3 months, and really evaluating the roof. And then they might say, hey, I know you had coverage, your home insurance was $140 a month, but now that we took a look at the roof, we're gonna have to bump you up to $190. We're gonna have to bump you up to $210, $220. And this is just happening all over the place. And I'm seeing it so much now. So one thing I'm being super cautious of when I'm helping a buyer is obviously the condition of the house, but the roof age. Because some of these insurance companies are expecting a brand new roof to be on a house that's built in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or whatever the case is. So I find it very interesting, and I see a lot more of this stuff coming down the pipeline. So it's going to be interesting. As I've mentioned, I've already seen a ton of houses that have past due taxes. It's these people that bought a house for $200, $300, 5, 10 years ago. Now those houses have tripled in value, and instead of paying property taxes of $2,000 a year, now they're having to pay $8,000 a year. And a lot of people can't afford it, especially the older people and things like that are already retired, they're on Social Security. Those people are going to need a way out. So I don't know if it's going to affect the supply of the market. I definitely think it will in some sense, but we don't want to be in that situation. We don't want to see people forced out of their homes. But the way things are changing with the insurance companies, with property taxes, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how it plays out. Yeah, John. So I work with John, help him find a house in Concord. He said that was the same issue with mine. Annika, our lender, mentioned the roof was becoming an issue. Same happened to my sister and brother-in-law this year. They had to agree to replace the roof. were given insurance for 1 year and they needed confirmation it was replaced. That's exactly it. It's crazy. Like I said, the other house, the seller I was selling, the roof was only 13, 14 years old. Roofs can be good, should be good for 25 to 30 years. Obviously, if you put a new roof on, a branch falls on it, you can damage it. You might need to get a new one right away. But the fact that insurance companies are giving people pushback on a roof that's 10, 15 years old is ridiculous. You can't expect somebody to put a new roof on a house every 10 years. Roofs are expensive. They used to be, depending on the square footage, obviously, they used to be, $8,000 to $12,000 on average for maybe a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot home. Now it's so much more expensive. It's ridiculous. Some of these quotes I've seen from contractors, from roofers to everybody, the prices are just going up. So, if you need to replace a roof every 10 to 15 years, you're essentially paying or having to put away $1,000 a year just for the roof, which you shouldn't, because the roof's supposed to be good for 25 or 30. It's frustrating. It's interesting to see, and I'm interested to see if these changes will affect, the market. I definitely think they will. I just don't think they're going to affect it to the point of a whole bunch of inventory or something like that's going to get dumped onto it, if that makes sense. Another thing I want to talk about really quick is multi-units. So right now, Lansdowne, it's hands down, funny, Lansdowne, it's hands down one of my favorite neighborhoods in the Charlotte area. And they're trying to rezone to put a bunch of townhouses over there. I can't remember how many townhouses, but it's a residential neighborhood, well-known neighborhood. And now the community's fighting back because they don't want these townhouses in the community, because they just don't want, the extra traffic. It's known for a neighborhood having really nice houses and things like that. But as affordability continues to go away, people that are wanting single-family homes in certain areas are having to go to a townhouse. If they still want to live in certain areas, they're having to go to a townhouse. So we're seeing a lot of the multi-units and things like that pop up in the area. So even around me in my neighborhood, there's a piece of land for sale. I believe it's just under an acre. And 2 years ago, they tried to propose, I believe it was 16 townhomes to be put on there. It didn't pass that time, but it's going to pass eventually. And we're just going to see a lot more multi-units popping up. So a lot of these other cities like Seattle and things like that, you'll have a whole bunch of residential houses. Then you'll have a townhouse community, residential townhouse community, a micro apartment. And unfortunately, that's the way things seem to be trending in Charlotte. The growth hasn't really slowed down. I don't see it really slowing down. There's so many companies coming here. There's so many people moving here. Things really just haven't slowed down. So as this influx continues, I think it will steady out, maybe even dip a little in the future, because it can't continue forever, right? We're going to see a lot more of that stuff. So with that happening, it's going to start changing the landscape of Charlotte, how Charlotte looks. So we'll see. We'll see how it happens. Todd, too many wait for a hailstorm to get their roof replaced so they don't have to pay for it. Have you seen any steady price reductions or longer days in the market? Yeah, and Todd, it's funny you mentioned that, because I have nothing against roofers or anything like that, but it's a lot of the roofers, going out there, and not all of them, some of them trying to pass normal wear and tear when a storm comes through that, shouldn't actually qualify. And obviously it's a game. They try to price gouge the insurance companies. The insurance companies come in, they feel like they're paying too much, then they have to negotiate. It's the same thing when you crash your car, you take it to an auto body shop. The auto body shop gives you a crazy number, then the insurance negotiates with them, and then they land on a different number. So 100%, that's one of the reasons, things are happening. And, people, if you can get a free roof, why not? But, I definitely see a lot of roofing companies and things like that trying to maybe play the game, a little bit. Have you seen any steady price reductions or longer days on market? Yes, it depends on the area. That's kind of the best thing I can tell you. The high in demand areas, they're always going to be in high demand, but it depends on the seller too. If the house is priced accordingly, it's going to sell rather quickly. If it's overpriced, it's going to sit on the market for a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months. And don't let some of those houses deter you. Don't be scared to offer $30, $40, $50,000 below the listed price of a house if it makes sense and if you're able to warrant, that happening. But as far as across the board, I don't see it. The high demand areas are still in high demand and they haven't slowed down. There are other areas where stuff is sitting longer. 3 weeks ago, I know a lot of these areas very well, and I know some amazing neighborhoods that aren't quote unquote mainstream to people. And 3 weeks ago, I saw a house that was sitting on the market for almost 2 months. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I know this neighborhood. It's amazing. It's super nice. And I reached out to one of my clients. They weren't even looking in this particular area, but I said, hey, trust me, let's go out. Let's just take a look at it. If you don't like it, totally fine, but we have nothing to lose. The house has been on the market for a while. I know you'll like the area. You'll just have to think about commute times to work and things like that. We ended up seeing it. They fell in love with the neighborhood, and we ended up getting the house for $27,000. Don't ask me how we landed on that number. $27,000 under the listed price. And I think they're going to love it in the long run. The neighborhood's great. The house needs a tiny bit of work. It honestly just needs new flooring and new paint. So after about $15,000 to $20,000, that house, they're going to have built-in equity already. So knowing the neighborhoods, you can catch houses like that. But for the most part, if you're interested in a specific area, go on your favorite, real estate website, map out the area, map out the zip code, set yourself on a search, and just see what pops up. You'll quickly start to see, on average, how quickly these houses are selling. Based off square footage, is it a 3-bedroom? Is it a 4-bedroom? 4 bedrooms are selling a lot quicker than the 3 bedrooms, just because a lot of people are wanting something they can raise a family in and things like that. But if you have a 3-bedroom house that has an office, that's a way to kind of squeeze in a good potential deal on a 3-bedroom house as well. Constantine, are you anticipating the interest rates to go down later in the year around September or October due to election? They said, the powers that be said that the rates should be going down in June, but yesterday they just announced they have to keep the rates high. And they do. I know it sounds great. Hey, lower the interest rates, put them at 5.5%. If they did that tomorrow, all hell would break loose. These houses would start going again on average 30, 40, 50,000 above asking price if they did that. In all honesty, it really sucks, but they have to keep the rates high. They have to keep the rates high long enough for inventory to build up. Unfortunately, it takes inventory a while to build up. We might not see a good amount of inventory build up for another 8 to 12 months. For example, right now we're approaching summer season. More buyers, more sellers. But if more sellers come out of the woodwork and there's that little leftover demand from the buyers not buying all of those houses, that's going to give us a little block. That's going to give us a stepping stone for inventory buildup. Then as we go into the winter months, you still have more houses come. Maybe the demand for buyers is still down. That's another step for building up inventory. So the rates need to stay high, unfortunately, for long enough to give us the time for inventory to build up. We're just under 2 months, which is ridiculous. To see any relief in regards to the real estate prices, we need a minimum of 3 months of inventory. So almost double what we have currently. So we have a long way to go. It's going to take a while, but if they decide to put the interest rates, back down, we're going to see the multiple offers popping up on every house, even houses that don't warrant multiple offers. So they need to keep them high to give us enough time to build this inventory up. I mentioned in the beginning of the video, that's what I'm trying to do, everything in my power to find houses that are off market. I'm calling neighborhoods. I'm spending a ton of money a month on mailers and on postcards. because I have buyers in certain areas and I have investors in certain areas that I know if I call them with a certain house that, they'd potentially be open to buying. And if not, I'll sell the house for them. That's not a problem. Whatever is going to work best for the seller at that point. Todd, I agree. I think the rates need to stay higher for longer. Too many people waiting on the sidelines to jump into the market like me. Yeah, there's so many people, there's so many people. And after what we saw in the madness of the market, hindsight is 2020, and I hate even thinking about what we went through and some of the prices that we were able to get, 2-3 years ago. Let's not talk about 4. It's rough, and we don't want to relive that, because if the rates came down, there'd be even more of that fear of missing out. And I think people might get even a little bit crazier, because when you look online, you see people saying house prices are just going to keep going up. Then you have somebody else saying they're going to drop 30, 40, 50%. You just have so many varying opinions. That's why I do my market reports, and to give you guys the actual numbers for the Charlotte area so you can make your own opinion about it. But don't overcomplicate things. If you can comfortably afford a home and it's time for you to buy a home, you feel like it's the time, run the numbers, take a look at some options, and make it make sense. Before, it was cheaper to buy kind of a starter single family home than it was to rent. Now, for the most part, it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy. It just is. It's very hard. That's why it's very hard for investors right now, because even though they're putting down 20, 25%, they're still not able to make up that mortgage, but that isn't where the money is. Right now, the investors, you're buying a house, hopefully you break even. If not, you're going to be putting a couple $100s out of pocket. But as long as you buy in the right area, long term, that appreciation is going to be great, and with the hope of being able to refinance in a year or 2 years. Because as an investor, that 7.5%, 8% interest rate that you have today, right now, if rates go down in a year or 2, I'm looking at 2 years of rates being somewhat, hopefully in the 5s. If that time comes, and you can refinance at a 5% interest rate when you bought at a 7.5% or 8%, your mortgage payment's going to go down $300, $400, $500, $600 potentially, depending on the price of the home. And that's when you're going to start making that $200, $300, $400 a month, plus hopefully some appreciation. So it's very interesting, It's going to be fun to see how everything unfolds. Mountain Vang, what is your prediction in the housing market 12 months from now? I appreciate that you have so much trust in me, but the way things are moving, the way things are changing so rapidly, the housing market can change month to month. All you need is a massive layoff start to happen. You just need a couple of these weird factors start to happen, and things can change on a dime. They really can. So I can't give you a 12-month. I really wish I could. I can't give you a 12-month prediction. I think it's going to get a lot better. I do see prices coming down, but we need the inventory to build up. The only thing that's holding these prices is the inventory. It's supply and demand. As soon as we get 3-4 months plus of inventory, we're going to see the prices start to relax a little bit. By how much? 10%, 15%, hopefully. Something reasonable. But again, the influx here in Charlotte is just so much. People are gobbling these houses up, especially people that are moving from a lot more expensive states. They're selling their house, in Denver, Colorado, and coming here, and they're able to buy a bigger house, a newer house, for a decent amount less. So it's relatively interesting. It's interesting, the dichotomy that we have, throughout this market. I think it's going to get better. This cannot last forever. It will not last forever. One day we're going to have 4, 5, 6 months of inventory. Is that a year from now? Is it 2 years from now? I honestly think it's going to be probably 2-3 years from now when we get into a potential kind of full-blown buyer's market, where buyers are getting everything they want. They're getting big discounts on houses. But again, it's possible that we don't get there either. Hey, I work in custom home market, no slowdown yet. Haven't had a day off in years due to lack of work, just holidays. Yeah, 100%. Custom homes, the houses in the good areas, as I mentioned about 5 times in this video so far, they're selling. A lot of people out here have money. A lot of people in Charlotte, a lot of people from these other states that are coming, they're gobbling stuff up, and that's just it. Supply and demand. Right now the demand is outweighing the supply, and it has been outweighing the supply for 5-6 years now. The only problem was when 2020 happened, the rates got so low, it just expedited absolutely everything. Better hope your house value doesn't depreciate or you won't be able to refi without cash in hand. Todd, that's true. That's why I was that's why I was mentioning investors. Investors are already putting down a minimum of 20%, if not 25, 30 plus. You got a lot of people paying cash and things like that. So their money's going to be when they can refi because they already have that built up equity inside the house. Charlotte market is strong. Nothing will bring it down. Never say never. I heard a saying one time, I can't remember who said it, and it said only the paranoid survive. I'm not putting anything past me. The same way we've seen the market shoot up, the same way we can see the market come down. Do I think the market's going to come down? No. I think it's going to take a very long time for something like that to happen. And I think it's going to be very, very, very gradual. It's not going to be a skyrocket, a downturn or jump like we had as far as the prices going up. But trust me, you work for a custom home builder. You deal with a lot of people that have money that are doing these custom homes. Don't let this fool you, Don't let the social media, don't let the people taking pictures on private jets when it's actually a studio that looks like a private jet and, posting it to their, don't let that stuff fool you, Never say never, and I'm just being honest with you. I'm in real estate, whether the market goes down, up, whatever the case is, I'm helping who needs help in my market. I would like some more inventory to build up. So we'll see. But yeah, I like the saying, only the paranoid survive. And after what happened, I didn't live through 2008. I was too young. I wasn't in the business. So we'll see if we have another one. But like I said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not all peachy. Not everybody has money. Not everybody has $100,000, $200,000 to put down as a down payment. It's not like that. There's a lot of people struggling with bills. Wages are not being increased. There's a lot of people struggling. There's a lot more people struggling than there is doing good. Trust me. Todd, let Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and a few more banks announce layoffs, and you'll see a rapid change. 100%, like I mentioned, Tesla just laid off 15,000 employees. I'm not a doom and gloom person, guys. I just don't want you to think everything's peaches and rainbows and, go buy a Ferrari and, live paycheck to paycheck. One little event. That's why you just need to be smart. If you can comfortably afford a home, if you're okay with your mortgage payment, with the current rates, with the current prices, do what is best for you. Nobody's forcing you. And now that renting for the most part is cheaper than buying, what's the problem with potentially renting for a little bit, and or making sure you can break your lease if you need to. That way, if something happens to come up that you think is a good deal or a good opportunity, you can snag it up. There's a lot of good opportunities right now. Even though the market is still extremely strong, you can find good opportunities. You can find good houses in nice areas that are priced right. Go look at houses when it's raining. You'll believe it or not, some buyers won't even go look at houses when it's a rainy day. On holidays, the 4th of July, a lot of people go out of town. Memorial Day, which we have coming up, a lot of people leave. They put their home search on pause. Those are perfect opportunities if a house comes on the market that Thursday or Friday to submit a strong offer, to potentially snag a house up off the market that would have had a lot more competition if they potentially would have waited a week or two to list the house. I don't want you to think that, you know, you have no chance. I don't want you to think that you have no chance of finding a good house that's priced right in a good area, because you do. You really do. So don't let that fool you. And like I said, I'm looking for an off-market house. Every house that I look at for myself is a multiple offer situation. And I'm just not doing it. I'll do it for my clients all day long. When it comes to me, I just don't want to deal with it, you know. And being an agent buying the house, you know, some of these other sellers agents can be a little weird about that sort of stuff. So, you know, I'm going to be calling the neighborhoods that I really like. I'm going to be sending out my mailers, my postcards. And as soon as I have a seller that's like, Sasha, I want to sell my house, I'll do you one better. I'll buy it right off of you directly. No fees, no commissions. You don't got to do any repairs, none of that stuff. Just sell it to me directly, you know, and I'll go about it that way, you know, for myself. And if you're somebody that really wants a deal, you can do that yourself. There's so much software, there's so much information out there. Just talk to people, you know. I didn't know this, but 10% of the real estate activity is off-market deals, off-market listings. They're happening constantly. Unfortunately, sometimes sellers aren't getting as much as they would have, or, you know, I've seen a couple for sale by owners that I shake my head, because you wanted to save yourself 4, 5, 6%. So you took an offer that's 10 to 12 to 15% less than what you could have got if you wanted to rent to market. But hey, your house, feel free to, you know, do what you want. But I'm ranting a little bit too much, so give me some questions, guys. Crazy enough, 2 months ago when I did the other live, these trees were 100% bare, no leaves, no nothing. And my clients, I always tell them when we look at houses during the winter time and the fall time, if there's a bunch of trees, but obviously you can see right through the trees, so I always remind them all the time, keep in mind, once spring comes, all this sprouts, you're gonna have a little bit more privacy. Behind me, that's South Park Mall behind me, and right next to me is another retail and office building. You can't even see the building because of all the leaves. So, you know, you have a lot of that privacy with the houses that come up too. So, any and all questions, guys, I am here to answer, and I'll be here for as long as you need me. But if I'm not getting the questions, I won't be here, you know, too long. I still got maybe about an hour or two left of work, so it's gonna be a long day for me. CC, hey Sasha, I've been following you forever. I'm a realtor in Charlotte. Would love to collaborate with you sometime. Reach out to me. Actually, we've spoken before. Yeah, reach out to me. My cell phone, text me or call me or email me, and we'll talk, you know, whatever you'd like to do, I'd love to. Do you think that if the market dips, you'll see more for sale by owners trying to offset the price due to commission? In all honesty, yeah, in all honesty, no. The reason being, because if the market dips, I can't remember the stat, and of course my computer died, and I don't have my charger, so I have to find one in the office. But if the market dips, the sellers are going to need to try to get top dollar, you know, for those houses. So on average, I can't remember what the number was, but a for sale by owner on average sells their house. I hate throwing out a number here, but fact check this number. On average, I want to say it's like 6 to 10% below the market value of the actual home. So if the market dips and the prices are already coming down, and then a for sale by owner lists their house, there's a good chance they're going to get even less than they could, you know, with going on the market, even though they might have to pay a certain percentage, whatever percentage they negotiate with their realtor. So I don't see it happening. If anything, during the hot market, sellers didn't want to pay anything to the buyer's agents that were bringing the buyer to their house, that were bringing these amazing offers that are $50,000 over asking. You know, people, I never waived an inspection in my life, but other people did. And during the hot market, sellers were like, I really don't want to pay, you know, I want to pay this person, I don't want to pay you. And at that time, it was easy to do. But as soon as the market starts to shift and start to dip, it's not, hey, I can just post this house on Zillow and it's going to sell. I can just put this on Craigslist and it's going to sell. Once the market dips, you really, really, really need to do marketing and advertising. I have a program that I do. It's a concierge program where, I'll help you renovate your house in order for us to get the maximum amount of money for your house and the maximum return on investment. So I'll paint the house, I'll change the floors. If you want to do the kitchen, I'll do the kitchen for you. And then at closing, that money is obviously paid back. I can't do that for free, but I do things like that for my sellers. So if the market dips, you're really going to need to find the best agent possible that can market this house and get it sold for top dollar, because just listing it is not going to cut it. You need to stage it. You need to fix it up a little bit to make it appealing to buyers. You got to do a lot more work, as opposed to when the market was crazy. There was houses that were just dingy, needed a ton of work, and I was surprised they were getting these multiple offers. I was almost mind blown. And they were still selling so fast. So it was so much easier. But if the market dips, now you're gonna have to get you're gonna need to get a true professional there with you. CC, I'm with Mark Spain, and I'd love to chime in on what's going on with investors right now. Oh yeah. Yeah, spill the tea. I need to hear it. Sorry, my wife watches all those reality shows. So spill the tea is something new in my vocabulary, I guess. How do you feel about the NAR lawsuits? I'm starting to notice that they are updating a lot of our paperwork. How I feel about them? This is going to be tough. I'm going to hold my tongue a little bit more, but it's a massive mistake. It's a massive mistake. If they think that there's problems now, I cannot imagine how many unrepresented buyers are going to fly into some of these houses and make the biggest mistake of their life. And once they do make that mistake, guess what's going to happen? They're going to call an attorney in 6 months to a year, and they're going to want to sue that seller because of potential non-disclosure. So many things. It's going to be very rough, So I think if things happen like that, which is highly likely, there's not a lot of buyers out here that are willing to pay for their own representation and things like that. So it's going to be very rough. If that does happen within a year or two, you're going to see an insane amount of lawsuits, and you'll see things get back to quote unquote normal. But I'm excited about it. I don't think it's a bad change. I'm very excited about it. Thanks for the video and the great conversation, Sasha. Have a great day. Todd, thank you for all the questions, man. They were really great. This sun is killing me over here. The investors are starting to pull back. They are not offering as much. Yeah, of course, they can't, and a lot of these investors, especially like the big institutional investors that are buying like hundreds of homes or thousands of homes across the country and things like that, they're buying stuff that's not on the market. A lot of the houses that are FHA, that are tax delinquent and things like that, the government's selling directly to them. But yeah, depending on where you are as an investor, especially if you're buying multiple houses, with the rates, you really got to find just a good house, stick it out until the rates come down and you can refinance, and then you'll start to get your cash flow, which is kind of the game plan, which it's not a bad time at all for investors because there's so much less investors out here. So it's a good opportunity for you to get something. I'm excited about the change too. I don't think it's going to affect my paycheck. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. This is much bigger than us, and all we can control is what we can do. But I'm excited about it. I already have some things in motion that I'm working on personally, and we'll see. Speaking of investors, I'm gonna be building my portfolio up here soon, so I'm very excited about it. But CC, send me an email, and we'll definitely connect. Guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, call, text, or email me if there's ever anything I can do for you. This live was pretty good, and I'll catch you next week for the market report, so we'll go over the actual numbers. Take care. Bye.